We got this one from the New York Post. Chicago gangbangers face off against newly arrived Venezuelan migrants. City is going to go up in flames. Indeed, my friends. That's why I don't live there anymore. You know, I was talking to somebody from Chicago recently, and I'd seen this video where a food court I used to eat at was on some abandoned places social media channel where they're like exploring abandoned places. And I was like, hold on a minute. Is this downtown? And they're like exploring an abandoned skyscraper in Chicago. And I was like, dude, that's a food court. That's the food court. Holy crap. I mean, how do 12 to 13 restaurants in downtown in a big food court go to business? I don't know, but they're gone. So I was talking to somebody from Chicago and I asked them, like, what's been going on? Is it really that bad? And they were like, dude, there's like 12-year-old gangbangers running around with handguns. Like, it is not good. Now, you're probably not going to notice these things for the most part, but for a lot of people, you know, when I grew up in Chicago, yeah, I've been shot at a couple times. The fights over at the high school, people brought guns. Everybody was in a gang. But you got by. I don't know. You know, I was talking to a couple of people from South Africa once, and I had asked them about, we were doing an interview with them, is South Africa actually as bad as people say it is? And they said, it's not that bad, I think. And I think the guy goes, we've only been carjacked, I think, 5 times. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I'm from Chicago, I've never been carjacked. To them, it was normal. And the worst crime was the people who had been carjacked 10 times, then murdered or whatever. So for them, it was like, we only got carjacked 5 times. I was like, that's actually bad. So I grew up in Chicago, and we got by. Most of the time, you never saw these things. Although I did have a friend who said that he was on near 63rd and Cicero-ish, between Cicero and Pulaski on the south side. He said he saw, one day he was taking out his garbage, and he saw 2 people dragging a carpet with feet sticking out. We know what that means. And then I think it was the next day, the news reported they found a dead body. So that's Chicago for you. We got by. To hear people I know from Chicago now saying it's really bad terrifies me, because I thought it was bad back then, but we got by. I ended up leaving. Didn't think too much about it. I've been mugged before too. I was exiting at Independence off of 290, I-290, with some family, and we were just heading north when we're driving this way and a car is coming this way, and the guy just leans out the window with a gun and bang, fires right at us. And we like, what the? He didn't hit us. He didn't hit the car. For no reason, just shot at us. That's Chicago. Now with these Venezuelan gangs that are coming in, dude, it's about to light up. New York Post says, after serving 20 years in state prison for murder, former gangbanger Tyrone Muhammad never expected to return to the city's tough south side and find Venezuelan migrants and the criminal Tren de Aragua gang moving in. But Muhammad, 53, who's gone straight and runs a street patrol and violence prevention program called Ex-Cons for Social Change, says Venezuelan criminal gangs flooding shelters and taking over apartment buildings are the last straw for struggling African-American communities. He says they are furious at seeing government money going to what they call non-citizens. He's right. Quote, it's impossible to release gang members and criminals into our country through the borders and broken walls and infiltrate them in our country that's already impoverished and broken, Muhammad told the Post last week on the O Block, a stretch along South King Drive that's considered the most dangerous in the city. When the black gangs here get fed up with the illegalities and criminal activity of these migrants or non-citizens, the city of Chicago is going to go up in flames, and there will be nothing the National Guard or the government can do about it. When the bloodshed hits the streets, it'll be blacks against migrants. The latest figures show Chicago has spent almost $500 million over the last 2 years on more than 42,000 migrants who've arrived since 2022. Many have been given money for rent, food stamps, cards, and even cars. And some landlords have pushed out local African Americans because they can get more government money from housing migrants. Some belong to the one-time Venezuelan prison gang turned vicious multinational crime syndicate, Tren de Aragua, whose sources in Chicago told the Post are heavily armed, brazen, and spilling into areas of the South Side. Those areas are traditionally controlled by hundreds of entrenched gangs, from the gangster disciples and Black P-Stones to the Vice Lords, Latin Kings, and Satan disciples. Oh boy, I can tell you all about the South Side Chicago gangs. I knew a bunch of them. So back then we had the Popes, but the Popes broke down into a bunch of different gangs. You had the insane Popes and the almighty Popes. I don't know. Let's see. Disciples, vice lords, Latin kings. You got four corner hustlers. You've got what Satan disciples. Yeah, we had those. Kind of weird too. The bishops. That was another gang. And the funny thing is, I remember my friend being like, we're like talking about the gangs, and he's like, the popes, the bishops, the Latin, the vice lords, like the disciples. What's next? The choir boys? And we all laughed. The choir boys. It's just very religious themed. The Latin kings, everybody actually liked though. I'll tell you this. The Latin kings, most people that I knew were fans, actually. The Latin kings were more like, and I've not been in Chicago in a long time, man. But the Latin kings were more like the mafia, the mob. You had older guys, deeply devout and religious, conservative. They engaged in organized crime, but it was controlled. There was absolutely violence, but it wasn't that they went around killing innocent people for no reason. And there are gangs that will go around and rob stores and just commit crimes. The Latin kings, as far as I knew on the South Side, most people were like, nah, don't mess with them. Younger guys might act a fool, but the older guys keep them in line. And so they're very much viewed more like the mafia, like if one of the bosses came in, he's going to treat you with respect. Kind of like that scene from A Bronx Tale, where the mob boss is like, he hears the commotion. I love the scene, by the way. The bikers are, at the bar, and he comes in, what's the commotion? And they're like, look, man, we just want a beer. The bartender says they're not dressed appropriately. The biker's like, just let us buy a beer. We'll be on our way. No problem. And he says, spoken like a gentleman. Give the man his beer. Then the guys shake the beers up, spray the bartender. And the mob boss is like, okay, now you've got to leave. And the biker guy's like, he's like, F you. And so the mob boss walks the door, closes it, locks it, turns on and looks at him and goes, now you can't leave. And I love that scene because they're like, the narrator's like, at that point, they knew they effed up. The back door kicks open and a bunch of the mafia guys come in with crowbars, guns, just beat the crap out of the bikers. It's like, dude, okay, I'm not a big fan of all the violence and stuff, but the point was, this guy was treating you with respect. You weren't dressed right. You were breaking the rules, but he said, you know what? You can have a beer at my establishment because you're a gentleman. Doesn't matter what you're wearing. Anyway, those are the stories I tend to hear with the Latin kings. They'd be like a 35-year-old guy. He's a dad. He's got kids. Says, I don't want my kids getting hurt, but they're going to sell dope. They're going to sell drugs, things like that. And a lot of these guys were in prison, but they had respect and they wanted order. That's at least what I heard. I can't speak to the other gangs, though. I can tell you some of the other gangs I knew were just kind of dicks. They'd break into your house. They'd steal your stuff. They'd lie, cheat, steal. Ain't none of that. Anyway, they say TDM members flashing gang signs and wearing their uniforms of choice, Chicago Bulls t-shirts and caps, could be seen outside the Standard Club migrant shelter downtown, where two local Chicago police officers told the Post they were trying to encroach on a local gang's drug dealing corner near a 7-Eleven store. Standard Club employees told the Post there hadn't been any crime in the shelter and denied the presence of Venezuelan gang members. I'm gonna tell you this right now, dude. You can go to the press and you can be an institution or a bureaucrat and say, we don't have any crime or Venezuelan gangs. The gangbangers know, they don't care, and they're not going to lie about it. They're on that corner because they know what you're doing. Don't play that game. You're not going to walk up to a gangbanger and be like, you see that thing where Don Lemon tells the guys in Jersey at the Atlantic City? He's like, the guy goes, the economy's bad, so I'm voting for Trump. And Don Lemon goes, actually, the economy's very good. The guy's going to be like, dude, I got to buy groceries, man. Are you nuts? You're not going to go to one of these gangbangers where you're in there, where the Venezuelan gangs are selling drugs in their territory, basically violating the gang accords that they have, the deals they cut. These gangs know what's going on, and they're there because they know what's going on. And if you as a reporter go up to them and say, why are you on the street corner? And they go, listen, man, these Venezuelan gangs are slinging drugs on our territory, and we're going to get them out. And then the reporter goes, actually, that's not true. They say there are no Venezuelan gangs here. No one's selling drugs. They're going to just bust out laughing, like, get out of here, dude. We don't care what you think. That's not going to fly with us. I'm going to tell you this. If I see a Chicago gangbanger tell me they're slinging drugs and dope on their turf, I'm going to say, he's telling me the truth. The media, they're full of it. They're liars. They've been lying about everything. Trump comes out and says, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Well, I don't know about no dogs, but there's a video of cats on a grill that, migrants from the Congo reportedly were cooking. They ain't chickens. People try claiming they were chickens. The media's going to lie to you. Gangbangers ain't got no reason to lie. They're going to be like, get off my turf or else. I tell you this, man. One thing you learn when you're in Chicago, you respect these guys. You respect these guys. Doesn't matter if they're mean, doesn't matter if they're rude. Some of them are. But don't be stupid and play stupid games. There are a lot of tough guys who think, I don't care who this guy's. They'll pull a gun on you for no reason. Okay? And a lot of the shootings you see in Chicago are honor-based and respect-based. Someone goes on social media talking smack about another guy. He shows up and he puts a bullet in him. So this is why I always tell my friends, man, I had a friend in Chicago and we're driving and someone cuts us off in an old crappy car. And my friend starts screaming and going out the window and yelling. And I was like, do you want to get shot? We are on the south side of Chicago, dude. You learn to choose your battles. Okay, you want to go to the suburbs and yell at someone, give them the finger, and then you can both growl at each other, fine. But don't come to the south side and start and act a fool. Someone's gonna pull over there and get out with a chain and they're gonna just smash up the car. I'm not kidding. I have seen this. We have been shut up for no reason before. I have seen people pull out guns, fire, and we're like, I have been sleeping in my bed and you can hear gunshots. There was a hot dog shop a block away from where I grew up as a kid, and the windows were like 3-inch bulletproof glass with bullet holes in them because they randomly just shot at the hot dog stand for no reason. And I just wanted to get a Chicago-style dog with some French fries. That's a bummer, man. I feel bad for the people trying to run their business. They have to deal with this stuff. But don't go to Chicago thinking you can act up. These gangs are in for a surprise, man. You know what I think, too? I don't think these gangs recognize it. I don't think they realize what they're actually dealing with. They think they're going to come to the United States and everything's going to be nice and clean, and it's not going to be. No. You already had one guy say, it's like where you come from. It's like where you come from. No, bro, I think it's worse than where they come from. Venezuela's got problems for sure, but it's poverty and desperation. I don't think Venezuela has the type of honor shootings and honor-based killings where you got a guy in a gang and he says, that guy insulted me. And they drive up to his house and they unload on it, killing everybody. Maybe Venezuela has that. The cartels are a business and people get caught in the crossfire, but they're shooting for business reasons. In Venezuela, you got poverty-based crime and you got gangs. I get all that. I was there before. Chicago, you have territories, you have honor, and you have respect. And that happens in other places too. But these Venezuelan gangs are in for something that they don't quite understand. And so I beg of them and the city, get this under control, man. These Venezuelan migrant gangs are going to show up and knock on a door with a gun and they're going to be like, hey, we want bang. And the guy who lives there is going to go to the guy's house and look for his family. I'm telling you, man, I'm in Venezuela. Nobody shot at me. There were protesters. There were complaints. There was politics. I'm in Chicago as a wealthy American, as it were. I mean, literally like, lower class growing up. But compared to the rest of the world, they'd see us as wealthy Americans. And some dude just shoots at you for no reason. It happens. And I'm hearing it's only gotten worse. I feel like these Venezuelan gangs are going to try playing this game. They're going to be like, hey, we're going to go sell drugs here. And the guy's going to show up and they got switches. They got extended magazine Glocks that are full auto and they're just going to run in and start spraying everybody down. You can watch the videos where they catch these people with the extended magazines. I'm telling you, man, I don't know what game they think they're playing. They call Chicago Chirac because there were more gun deaths in Chicago than Iraq over the course of a couple of years or something like that. Ain't no joke. I will say this for all of you. You go visit Chicago, you'll likely see nothing. You stay in the right neighborhoods, you stay in the touristy areas, you'll be fine. The gangs don't like it when people mess with tourists who bring money. Same thing for the cartels. But if you as a tourist ride your bike into certain areas, it ain't going to go well for you. I remember I had a friend, we were riding our bikes to go skateboarding, and we were coming from the north side to downtown, and we're northwest. So he decides to cut west, then north, and I had to yell at him, stop, 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 stop. And he's like, what, dude? He wasn't from here. And I was like, dude, you are 2 blocks away from Four Corner Hustlers. Let's turn around and take the road up north. Why? Because Four Corner Hustlers, I don't know what they do these days, but at least the rumors they spread, and maybe it was on purpose, is that if you live in their territory, you have to join the gang. 13-year-olds, and in order to join the gang, you got to kill somebody. It doesn't matter who. And so you as a white dude going into this neighborhood, they might just shoot you. I had a friend, a woman, she was white. She crossed into one of these areas, And there was like a 55-year-old black dude who walked up to her right away and said, "Young lady, you turn around right now. This ain't no place for you." He's like, "You're going to get hurt. These gangs ain't." And she was like, "What? I have no idea what's going on." I turned around. Old man said, "You best get out of here." There's a reality, man, to the racial tensions, to the violence, and how the gangs operate in Chicago. And you got to give them the respect. You got to give them the respect they deserve, because they will. You disrespect them. I always try to be polite and non-confrontational. Someone comes in my face, I'll be like, "Yo, bro, I'm sorry, man. That's my fault. Let me make it up to you." And they'll say, "Nah, get out of here, dude." But there's so many people I've seen who think, "I'm tough. Don't you talk to me." Next thing you know, there's 7 guys surrounding you and they're beating the crap out of you. Don't mess around. These gangs, they do what's called V'ing. In order to join the gang, some of them, you get V'd, you get violated. They just beat the crap out of you. They literally beat the crap out of you. So if that's what they do to initiate some of these gangs, they're not going to have any qualms when these Venezuelan migrants show up thinking they're going to operate their businesses here. These guys are going to be like, "Cops can't do nothing about it. It's our territory, and you cross the line." I beg of Chicago to get that under control. Seriously, I'm going to wrap it up there. Next segment's coming up at some point today. I don't know. We're having fun here on the Sunday morning. Smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Check out our song. What do we have here? We have Buy Coming Home, or GetComingHome.com. You need iTunes to pre-order it. And really excited for this. It is an honor and a privilege, Phil. I get to produce a song with the great platinum and gold rock star Phil Labonte. He does guest vocals on the song, and we're really inspired and happy to have the song coming out. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the show with all your friends. Follow me on X at Timcast. Thanks for hanging out. We'll have more segments coming up for you today.